next panel that will be joining me on stage, that's what we're talking about. Many of the individuals that are participating in this are either A, members of the council, strategic partners, or individuals that we work collaboratively with in order to provide support to your businesses. We're really looking forward to having these individuals here. We're covering a number of different topics. We know that there's a lot of issues impacting small business. We have workforce, we have economic development. Hey guys, anybody from Prince William County in here? Prince William County? All right, so the HUBZone Council, I'm proud to say we partnered with our lovely host over here, Kendra, on a contract to develop a strategic plan to assist Prince William County for improving the services to the HUBZone community. They want to be the next Leesburg. You guys think we can do it? I think we can do it. So, yeah, because Leesburg does really well because of that girl who was in there. So we're really excited about it, but I do hope before you leave today that you take a few moments. This is the economic development representative, correct? So we're going to be working closely with them, and I hope that you guys all take a stop, have a conversation with her, give her some suggestions, because she wants to be able to support the communities. And if you guys are looking for another space, she would love to talk to you about what they have available. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our beautiful host for the next panel to the stage. And she's going to introduce her panelists. Miss Kendra Dion.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh, I was raised in the South. Good morning, everyone. There you go. That's what I need. Like, if I can't have coffee, you have to be my caffeine. Thank you so much for having us. We are super excited. They saved the best for last. Right? Get it? The best for last. Okay, no, I'm teasing. But that's what I mean. Guy Timberlake. Have you ever heard Guy Timberlake speak? Wow. You truly saved the best for last. This morning, we are super excited to talk about something that I am beyond passionate about. It may come out. I might seem a little extra energetic about it. And this is workforce. At the core of the HUBZone program, HUBZone is about workforce, right? Because what are our companies if it were not for the people? We would love to think that we could do everything by ourselves, but we can't. With this amazing program, this program is the only program that incentivizes us, that encourages us to not only give back to the community through the creation of jobs, but to stimulate the local economy through the creation of jobs. So joining me today is my incredible panel, and I'm going to allow them to do their own introduction. So as I call your name, please join me on the stage. I have Stephanie Chen with Hutch, who will be joining me this morning. I have Ms. Shane from the American Indian Small Business, I'm messing it up, ASICS, yes, who will be up here. We have Mr. Victor Holt from VTech, who will be here. We'll have Bob Cusack from Custom Software Systems and Dr. Julie Lydig from Northern Virginia Community College. Please join me on stage. Can you please give my panelists a hand while they're walking up?
I thought that we had enough chairs already, but I guess I missed the panelists. That's okay.
Everyone should be fully mic'd up. I'm going to step away from the podium and into one of the chairs, so hopefully this works. Let's see.
Oh, sorry.
Can you still hear me? Oh, love our tech people, right? Technology, when it works, it is fantastic. So we're going to start, and I'm going to allow everyone a few minutes just to introduce themselves and tell you about their organization and how they are helping workforce. So we'll start here with Bob, and we'll work our way down the line.
Thanks, Kendra. My name is Bob Cusack, Custom Software Systems, as Kendra said earlier. So we are based in Leesburg. We were in Leesburg as a company when the Leesburg HUBZone started. Everybody's like, what's that? Right? Leesburg. Town didn't know what a HUBZone was. Loudoun County didn't know what a HUBZone was. So we started looking at it and decided we wanted to become HUBZone, a HUBZone company. So we started doing our research and digging in and working with Kendra very soon after that, because she was with Workforce at the time. Mm-hmm. And then a couple other people with the Leesburg town, they got very involved, which was good. And it just so happened they had built something called the Mason Enterprise Center 2 years before, actually, or about the year before Leesburg became a HUBZone. So there were a lot of small companies in that Enterprise Center that we were able to start working with. and we started creating a synergy with those companies. So the timing was right, and the companies were right. They were all in there looking at the same things we were, and we got the SBA involved, and they were really great. They got on a conference call with us every week. I think we were meeting them weekly to talk about what we had to do to become HUBZone certified. And actually, so I'm the COO, founder. My wife, who's sitting way back there, Lisa, who's a CPA, she's actually the CEO, president. We're also a WASB. I was inundated with the clients. That's one time during 2008, one of our clients, and I said, I can't run the business. Can you take it? And she took the parts I don't like, right? And she started managing the business, and I stayed out in the technical side of it. But anyway, she really dug in as a CPA and started doing her footwork and finding out what all the rules were with HUBZone. And she submitted our package to our attorney. And I'm going to give Co-Prince a plug here. They were great attorneys for us. They looked at it, and actually Stephen Co-Prince himself, we were working with him directly, and he looked at it and said, this is the cleanest package I ever saw. And that's thanks to Lisa and her CPA brain. So we became HUBZone certified, and she knows that I think it was 2014. And we were actually going about a year before anything started happening. We came to the HUBZone Council, went to the first meeting. Do we really want to do this? It's an investment. We had about 18 employees, and at that time, you think 35%, so you think about a third, right? So you add 6 employees, then you're at 24 employees. And you're like, oh, now wait, now we got to add all these other employees, right? So the numbers started adding up, which is an investment. It's a business decision at that point, right? And we were about a year into it, and we're saying, you know, we're not really getting, and we're putting a lot of money into this. We're not getting anything out of it. We were giving it to December. This was about July. We were giving it to December. And we were going to pull out if we didn't make any headway from the business standpoint. And a partner just happened to come to us. He said, you know, I'm on it, and this doesn't happen very often. We're a sub on an 8A. They're moving the 8A to HUBZone. I'll bring my team to you guys if you want to do this. So we got our first HUBZone set-aside with U.S. Treasury. And that was a set-aside. That was a HUBZone $10 million set-aside contract from U.S. Treasury. They since then have kept us there, but they flipped it for some reason to WASB. We don't know why. But after 5 years, they flipped it to WASB. But that's kind of us in a nutshell. We started it from the ground up, and it's a challenge. I'm going to be honest with you, it's a challenge. But that's...
Thank you.
Yep.
Victor.
Hello, everybody. I'm Victor Holt, President and CEO of VTech Solutions. The way that we got into the HUBZone program was it was a Saturday morning, and I wasn't doing anything, and I really just looked at my payroll and said, let me do census on it. And I just started running all the addresses. And what I found out was about 60% of my employees lived in the HUBZone. So when my team came in Monday, I gave them the package. I said, make it happen. So the majority of those employees were down in Montgomery, Alabama. And so the contract we've been on about 11 years is a subcontractor supporting Department of Education. And as we started delving into the HUBZone program and socializing it, you know, we really got to understand it, but more importantly, we saw the effect that it had on community. And we started reaching out to the local government, to the federal government, champions, and letting them know who we were, what we were doing. And they started bringing individuals to us as it relates to workforce management. And my wife, Ryan, sitting here, she was a major part of that because she said I was always sending her down to Alabama. But she's from Alabama. So she spoke the language down there. But what we were able to do was work with the local government and local entities as it related to the WIOA programs, as it related to OJT. And I would encourage everyone to look into these programs because there's a lot of gold in there, meaning that there's subsidized payments that goes to your bottom line. And so we were able to act on that. Also locally, we do a lot of state and local work, and we do the same type of things with the various programs. So on our professional services side, where it's mostly call center, staff support, and some logistics. We go and we find those individuals who are looking for that opportunity or who needs that second chance. And there are some contracts that we touch where they may specifically ask if we can identify returning citizens so that they have an opportunity to progress and get down the road a little differently. So we have enjoyed the program. We continue to identify opportunities. In all the years that we have been in the HUBZone program, I was listening to your number, I almost fell out of my chair. We only got one HUBZone set aside. It was for $10,000.
Yeah.
And it was to break down a telecom closet.
It's a problem, right?
Yeah, that was it when we first went into the program many, many years ago. But what we have been able to do is leverage it as a subcontractor. And we've done very well in that area. So as Michelle said earlier, it's a lot of work to be done because it's a lot of work that we do in the HUBZone community. And companies like us, we're capable of doing the work, we know how to find the resources, and we know how to put good talent to use for service delivery.
Awesome. Thank you, Victor. Shane.
Thanks, Victor. Good morning, everyone. My name is Shane Frank, and I am the Chief Operating Officer and President of American Indian Consulting Services, which is the for-profit arm of Native American Development Corporation out of Billings, Montana. I am enrolled Assiniboine in the Assiniboine and Sioux tribes of the Fort Peck Indian Reservation. Happy to be here with all of you. I have been a part of the HUBZone world for many years. Prior to being with ACES, I had a construction company in Las Vegas. And during that time, which was several years ago, the HUBZone world was booming. And I remember a time where I got a couple of projects that were set aside for HUBZone. I mean, you really could go to the contracting officers and say, hey, we're HUBZone. You know, and there were a group of us companies that were HUBZone companies that were advocates for the program, and we were able to get some projects set aside so we could bid competitively in them. And then moving forward to now, being a part of ACES, which is a part of the overall NADC umbrella, the overall objectives for NADC is economic and workforce development. And so ACES was created in 2011, but it wasn't until a few years ago that they actually decided to take advantage of the CDC, the Community Development Corporation, opportunities to be able to, take advantages of opportunities for for-profit. So ACES is the for-profit arm, and so we're a HUBZone, we're 8A, and there are some challenges around finding opportunities as an 8A in the field as a HUBZone in the field that we're working in. But nonetheless, I mean, being a part of the community is really advantageous. We were able to move ACES forward at the beginning of the pandemic. NADC, I think, right before I came on last January, but prior to that, there was about 12 employees, I think, and now there's 55 to 60 employees right now. So that's really cool to be able to say at the beginning of a pandemic. So it can be done, but it takes strategy and a lot of effort, but it can be done. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Stephanie.
Good morning, everybody. Stephanie Chin. I'm the Hutch Program Manager at Fearless. Hutch is a digital services incubator that is owned and operated by our parent company, Fearless, and we're based out of Baltimore, Maryland, so right over the state line. At Fearless, our mission is to build software with a soul. So we do a lot of really impactful work within government. As Michelle had mentioned, we built the Hub Finder tool purely out of a need for our own company to be able to maintain compliance within HUBZone eligibility, and what a complex process that was. So we built this tool, and as Michelle mentioned, it ended up being something that everybody needed in order to maintain their HUBZone status in a more seamless way, in a more efficient way. And so we worked on projects like that. We built the PPP portal for SBA, and so if anybody had taken advantage of that during the pandemic and used that, you've interacted with Fearless indirectly in some capacity. And so we're really proud of the work that we do, and we decided to create our own digital services incubator to be able to help other small businesses get a little further faster. So at Fearless, we've been in business for 13 years, primarily federal government contracting. We also have a presence in Montgomery, Alabama, and then also a small presence out in Los Angeles with work that we do with the NFL. But really what we wanted to do was be able to pass along the type of mentorship and coaching that we had received early on in our days within business. We were part of the DoD Mentor Protege program, and that was really instrumental in a lot of our success and growth early days. And so we wanted to be able to find more ways to be able to help more business owners. So that's what we do at Hutch.
Thank you, Stephanie. Dr. Lydig.
Hi, my name is Julie Lydig, and I'm so excited to be here today. Thank you so much, Kendra, for inviting me. I represent Northern Virginia Community College, which we shorten as NOVA, if you're from this area. And working with HUBZones is very much in the center of our mission as a community college. So I know you're not all from Northern Virginia, but I bet you there's a community college in your community. And sometimes people don't understand the breadth of everything we do. So here in Northern Virginia, we have 6 campuses. I serve as the provost or the campus president of the one in Sterling, Virginia, which isn't far from here. But we are scattered throughout the area. And of course, everyone knows a community college, one of our missions is to offer the first 2 years of a 4-year degree. So that is a very important mission. But did you know that we also offer many applied programs that place students directly in a job after a 2-year degree or a shorter certificate program? So we do a lot, especially in Northern Virginia. Some of our big areas are healthcare and IT. IT is the coin of the realm around here. So we offer many programs on the credit side in that area, but we also have a very robust workforce development program that is non-credit. It's just designed to give people skills, and we offer a lot of industry certifications. So I'll talk later about some of the great deals that are available for those who want to learn, but we also work directly with businesses to support you. So we have really developed our resources to work with businesses, and so we work on the employer side and we work on the employee development side, and we'd be excited to partner with those in the room.
I don't know about you, but my inner nerd is going crazy right now. So as you heard, our panel is comprised of not only education side of workforce development, but the mentorship side of workforce development, the community resource and services side, as well as the employer side. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into 3 primary categories. We're going to talk a little bit about trends in workforce, we're going to talk about needs in workforce, and we're going to talk about available resources, because we all know that it is incredibly easy to make and maintain your 35%, right? Would you agree? It's incredibly easy? Yeah? Easy. So simple. Shoosh, why are we even talking about this thing? Especially when we create meaningful work, right? Meaningful work? Yeah? Anybody? No? Job? Okay. Yep. And that... Yeah, you know that definition of meaningful work is so simple, it's so easy to understand, and so simple. And, you know, the fact that we can change so many lives in just 10 hours a week, I mean, come on, guys, right? That's incredible. So let's talk about this. With this great headline that looms over all of our heads called the Great Resignation, I want to start out by talking to our employers that are on the panel about how you all have managed to navigate, considering that it's already a challenge to maintain 35% with turnover and things like that. How has your company successfully navigated the Great Resignation in identifying new people, keeping them engaged, or just shifting in general to maintain during the past couple of years? Either one of you, Bob or Victor?
Yeah, I'll start.
Okay.
So we've been fortunate in a way in that all of our federal contracts were able to shift pretty seamlessly to virtual during the pandemic. So what's becoming a challenge now is that now that things are going back, right? So we just lost a person because she had to go back to work once a week because during the pandemic she ended up taking care of her elderly parent. Mm-hmm. So she wasn't able to leave, and she found another position where she's able to stay virtual 100%. She's someone who's been with us for over 5 years, right? And we had lunch with her. She was almost crying. I don't want to leave, but I have to take care of my parent, and I've already found and the agency wasn't willing to work with us. They had her have her there 1 day a week, that position 1 day a week. And so I'm kind of concerned more now in the future that as these things start shifting, that we may see more resignations happening because these folks can find virtual positions, but as the agencies start having to move back into the office space, I think we're going to see something happening over the next 1 to 2 years as that starts happening. So when I heard 60% of your folks were in the HUBZone, I'm like, that's a dream.
Yeah.
So we have to hire folks within the HUBZone because it's hard to find technical folks within the HUBZone. We like to bring them in and bring them up. That's been an issue too. We've actually hired some folks that have, and Treasury has worked with us to allow us to bring in folks at a lower level, bring them up. But then once we've trained them and brought them, they've left, right? So that's been an issue also. But most of our folks, Lisa and you actually, Kendra, work together to start a program that we call CSS Squared, and we work with community charities or community like InMed, Loudoun Interfaith or Loudoun Hunger Relief now, and other where they need people to I want to say volunteer, but they're not volunteers. They're people who need jobs for just 40 hours. They really only need 40 hours a month because they also need their benefits because they're disabled folks, right? But they also need to get out of the house, and they need to do work, and they need to be meaningful work, right? So Lisa works, again, giving her credit, because Lisa spends a lot of time, and you have spent time with her, finding these folks and working with these agencies to find these folks, to give them meaningful jobs, and then pay them to do that work for and that's all they need is the 40 hours, right? So that works out very well for us. I just got a call from InMed, and we're going to talk about this probably in a week or two with the vice president of InMed. There's actually a trailer park community. If those of you who know Leesburg, you might not know it, but there's a trailer park community right in the middle of Leesburg, and that's part of the HUBZone. And that was almost sold to a builder who was going to build $1 million townhouses there. Some guy came in. He probably doesn't want his name said, but he had a lot of money. He bought the trailer park away from the guy, and he said, "We're keeping it the trailer park, and we're going to start putting these people to work." He bought a junkyard behind the trailer park. They're going to turn that into a hydroponic farm, and they're going to put people to work on that farm. And then they came to Lisa and I and said, "How can we get the HUBZone involved with this? And how can we get these people jobs?" So we're going to start working with them also on doing that type of work. Not just jobs for companies in the HUBZone. We also that's another thing we do is we make sure that since we all started in that incubator, we all have pretty strong relationships as companies. So we can share. We also work with sharing employees across companies also if they need multiple jobs, but also letting them know, there's this person over here who needs a job, or this person over here who needs a job. So we keep that communication going as well. So when you were talking about communities, it was amazing. We lived in Leesburg for 10 years. I didn't know there was a trailer park there until Father Lou. So I don't want to take too much time, but so we hired a priest to be our BD guy, Episcopalian priest to be our BD guy, just before the HUBZone was started. And you talk about your outreach guy. Oh my gosh, he was into that HUBZone and then talking to companies and talking to people and getting people together. Father Lee's in France now, but I still have to talk about him. But he really worked with Doug Parsons at the time to bring that HUBZone community together. And he said, Bob, there's a trailer park in Leesburg. I said, what? He said, yeah. And he started driving me around all the different areas in Leesburg. People say, how can Leesburg be a hub zone? Well, you come out, I'll show you why it's a hub zone. There are low-income housing areas, there's the trailer park areas, and there is a reason it's a hub zone. And those are the communities that we work with.
Mm-hmm. I love that so much because one of the things that Bob mentioned is it's not just about fulfilling your task orders or the requirements of the contract. It's the opportunity to impact the community. So through the company, you're giving back to local nonprofits and charities. You're creating opportunities. And I've personally had the opportunity to witness a resident who is like an angel in our community who was homeless at the time or precariously housed by HUD definition, started working with Bob and Lisa's company and transitioned into an incredible functioning citizen who was well housed and working towards independence and doing some amazing things, continuing to impact the community.
Rhonda.
So I appreciate businesses who not only make dollars, but you also make a difference. That matters. That matters. Victor.
I'm going to jump on that. Something that we just did recently is that we have a contract and we have an individual that it was a workplace accident. And the management, the government management, asked us to remove that individual. And, you know, I went back and forth with her. I said, we have a workers' comp claim out. We can't do this. We can't do that. And, you know, I just said, let me get out of it. And I told that individual, I said, you work at headquarters now. Report to work here. So the contract was it was a food service contract. And, you know, they went in with their food service, whatever, every day. The person showed up at VTech headquarters. Nobody recognized her. Completely different person, attitude, completely different. I mean, just, this is what I really wanted. And what we did was, unbeknownst to us, we put her in the right seat on the bus, because when she took the job that she applied for initially, it was because she needed a check to come in. Yeah. And when we brought her in the headquarters, what we saw, you know, the jewel, I call it the diamond. Yeah, yeah. Where, you know, no one put enough pressure on the coal to shine it up, to turn her into a diamond. Yeah. So I think, you know, a lot of times we lose sight on our workforce, and instead of overseeing, we need to identify, manage, and correct to get the folks to where they want to be. As it relates to the great resignation that we're seeing right now, I look at it as an opportunity. I look at it as an opportunity to take your organization beyond where it's been. And, you know, as those folks are resigning for whatever their reason may be, you know, you thank them, you honor them for the work that they've done. But it also, as a business owner, I believe it gives you the chance to put your growth plan in place, to blow the dust off of it, to say, okay, where do I go now? And how do I get there from here? And then what are the resources that I already have internally that I can promote? And, you know, as that person is going out the door, to have an effective transition along the way. And I think that helps, you know, cover it or mitigate any problems that may come about. We've experienced it where we have an individual who she's in the, we call it the cookie. She's the filling, and she's raising a grandchild, but she's also taking care of a mother that's dementia. And, she works when she can, and, she's cutting back her hours. And I just had a conversation where, she said, Victor, I think at the end of the year, that's going to be it, and we're preparing right now. And I know some of the resignations come earlier or quicker than that, but for the ones that you can project, I think you have an opportunity to really guide your organization in a good direction, if you will. So those are my comments.
I appreciate that so much. So as we look at that, we notice that the needs of the workforce is ever changing, right? So our workers come in, and as you mentioned, Victor, they might come in with one skill set. Maybe you find people in the HUBZone who've worked in skilled labor trades, things like that, and you need them for other positions. It doesn't mean that those individuals aren't a good fit for your organization. You might just need to tap into some community resources to help them upskill or reskill, or maybe reimagine what their possibilities are. A lot of times people don't do different jobs because no one's ever exposed them to the opportunity.
When you talk about upskill, this is what I'll put out to the business owners or anyone. I'm a DC-based company. I can send my employees to college tuition free because of some of the programs that the district has. Catholic University, Trinity College, American University. As long as I tie it to their job, I can put them on a course because the district has programs, and I think it's across all the states and jurisdictions. I would encourage you to look into it. They have programs where they're looking to, what they call it is creating a pathway to the middle class. And they have these programs to upskill. Because of what just happened with the pandemic, they have these programs to retrain. And there's dollars associated with the retraining as well. So I would encourage you guys to look into that.
And that's a perfect segue. Julie Lydig, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what are some of these programs that are available through community colleges where HUBZone companies who hire individuals that want to see them succeed, they want to help them upskill, reskill, try different career paths. What types of programs are available for businesses to help their staff upskill?
So there are really so many. Because if you look at the deeper meaning of our mission, it really is about economic opportunity, helping people transition into the middle class if they're not already there, helping people reskill. You may not know that for a long time, the sort of tagline of the community college has been the new graduate school, because there are so many people who have a 4-year degree but it didn't give them a track into the job they're looking at. So it's been going on for many years that people will come to the community college to take specific courses to upskill and reskill themselves. And we're all about affordable, inclusive excellence. So everybody knows that community colleges strive to be affordable. There's an unfortunate amount of talk now and real talk about the expense of higher education. Is it worth it? But we work always, every community college, to remain open and affordable to everyone at different age levels. So I want to talk specifically about a couple of programs, to your point about free or very low-cost programs that are available to workers in HUBZones and beyond. So in the Commonwealth of Virginia now, for the community college system, we have a couple of really great programs that are targeted at those often high need and often high wage programs and quickly reskilling workers. So one is, and now is the time of year to pay attention to this, because we only get so many dollars to support these programs, and people find out about them and they use them up very fast. So one that I want to talk about is Fast Forward. That is a program to help students pay for industry valued certifications. A lot of them are going to be in IT and healthcare, but we have early childhood education. We have several fields. If you go to our website and look at Fast Forward, you will find a list of the eligible programs. What Fast Forward does is if a person takes an industry certification and completes it, 2/3 of the cost of that program is going to be covered for them. They only have to pay 1/3. If they take it and don't complete it or drop out, they have to cover a second third of that. But if they complete it 1/3, and then if a person does not have the economic resources to pay for that third, we have something called Fantic. So that could cover the entire cost of an industry certification for somebody. That's Fast Forward. That's on the non-credit side. We also have a growing number of apprenticeships. We've been working with Amazon Web Services and other companies to do. So we work directly with employers that are promising to prioritize hiring the students that go through those programs. So that's a second set. And then recently, in the last administration, we got something called G3, and this is on the 2-year degree side. Again, it focuses on those high-need, high-wage programs, because what happens a lot when people go to college is they aren't necessarily thinking far ahead to what is going to give them a family-sustaining wage. They're thinking about, what do I like to do? And so the reason the dollars are targeted toward those high-wage programs is because we want people to get out and get a great job and then be able to support the things that they're interested in. So G3, for a family of 4, if the family income is $100,000 a year or less, in those G3 programs, students are eligible for complete coverage of tuition and fees. It's a last dollar program, so it applies after other financial aid kicks in, but it is a wonderful program, and again, it's heavily subscribed, and it exists all over Virginia. So just go in with your local community college and look at G3 and you'll find it there. So those are just some examples.
I love that so much. So let me ask you this, Julie. But I heard you mention how you all work with employers. So for a lot of HUBZone companies, identifying qualified candidates to fill their vacant positions is often a challenge. Is there a way that HUBZone companies could collaborate, partner, or work with local community colleges to identify recent graduates or people who complete those programs? It's kind of like almost like a matchmaking.
Yes, it is like a matchmaking, and it is a win-win because it's a win for you. You're getting, and one of the mistaken ideas about community college students is they're somehow not as good as students from a 4-year school. Erase that idea from your mind. We have some of the most heartbreakingly amazing, smart, qualified, talented students from all communities, and they are looking for that opportunity. And very often the 2-year schools are overlooked when businesses are looking for internships or apprenticeships to offer. Don't overlook us, because we are, at NOVA, we have recently coined the Business Engagement Center. So if you as a business want to reach out to us and establish a partnership, let's say you're having difficulty recruiting a certain type of employee and it happens to be a program that we're offering, you could partner with us so that you get access to the students that are coming through our programs, and you can present to them and we can work out a partnership with you. We also are offering an increasing number of virtual and in-person job fairs with very low rates for a job fair, so very affordable. That's another way. We have something called Career Connection. So it is an online posting service where you can post your jobs, and we guide our students there to look at the jobs and internships. We're expanding our number of internships. And we're starting something called the NOVA Academy, which is really targeting those older students. So we've always served students all the way up to, their 60s and 70s, but we're really trying to recruit students who have some college and no degree, or some college but not in the field that they need to go ahead and complete a degree. So that's something you're going to hear more about as we build it up.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to switch sides for a second and talk about the business services. So these next two questions are going to be directed towards Stephanie and Shane. So Forbes magazine recently published an article that highlighted the global growth in entrepreneurship fueled by the pandemic. As we start to see more companies as first-time government contractors or entering that space, I want to talk a little bit about resources or things new businesses should know, whether it be through mentorship or programs like ACES. How would you guide a new business or a newer business as they enter not only government contracting, but HUBZone, tapping into resources and things like that? Either one of you. Did you want to start?
Sure. So the first thing that I would say is know your business. Like, know what your product is, know what you're selling, and know who your customer is. And a way to be able to do that, you would think that that is common knowledge and everybody automatically knows that, but not everybody does. And that's okay, because another way to be able to do that is to put a plan together, right? Like a business plan, a strategic plan. Figure out what you want to do when you grow up. Still working on that. But being able to, that will help you identify your market, your strengths, your weaknesses, those types of things, and then utilizing your resources. And so utilizing your resources like a PTAC. So, underneath our umbrella, we have a native PTAC. ACES partners with them quite a bit because they have some limitations in helping folks. Like, they can't do a proposal for you. And so a lot of times we'll come alongside them and we'll help them with their clients and being able to help learn how to do proposal development, sources, thoughts, how to register, with SAM, those types of things. But knowing your resources is really, really important. HUBZone Council, Kendra, putting in a shameless plug there. But then also, one tool that a lot of people don't utilize, and you may disagree with me, but it's just small business dynamic search. And because everybody that's registered with the government or as a HUBZone, you have to be registered in that. And so I will filter down. If you're wanting to do business in a certain area, or you're trying to find a partner that's a HUBZone, you can go in and you can find those businesses and filter by that search. I mean, that's just one small way that you can try to utilize some free resources that are available to you, and then also utilizing your local SBA as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. I would absolutely double down on especially knowing your business and knowing your customer, because like you mentioned, it seemed like common sense, but a lot of business owners actually kind of look beyond that. And so we see a lot of companies where they want to do all the things, and then you ask them, like, well, who's your customer? It's like, everybody. And it's like, when everybody's your customer, nobody's your customer, right? And from a mentorship and coaching perspective with Hutch, it is hard to support a company when you don't really know the direction of where they want to go. What are they actually targeting? So we run a 2-year cohort-based program, and so much of that is reinforcing being really intentional and being really focused, especially as a small business. When resources are lean, you want to be as efficient as possible, right? Where you're spending your dollars, your time, your people, all of that. And so being really intentional about starting out with a capability that you really want to go deep on, being the expert in that capability, and picking a customer or a couple of agencies that you really want to target, so you can actually learn the landscape of that agency. You can really lean in and learn what that customer's pain points are, because at the end of the day, it is relationship building. We've heard that numerous times within the conference, that it is all relationship building. And so, events like this are fantastic, but that should really just be the start of the relationship, right? You have to continuously nurture it. You're shaping opportunities over years. So it really takes a level of intentionality and discipline that I think oftentimes is lost on entrepreneurs. And then we're also big proponents of being a purple cow. So If you've never read the Purple Cow book by Seth Godin, we're big believers in that at Fearless. So, you know, the Purple Cow is our mascot, the purple gear, all of that, the values that we live, the culture that we've built. And the long story short, the Purple Cow is all about being differentiated in your space, right? And the certifications and all that, that's not going to be your true differentiator. So really, again, building that deep expertise in your technical capability and branching out from there and being known as being excellent in that thing, that's going to help you stand out. So it's not just, you know, I'm so-and-so and we're 8A, we're HUBZone this and that, and here's 20 different capabilities that we have. That's not as memorable. So, you know, we really help our companies figure out who they want to be when they grow up and how to get there and be their best authentic selves. Because for us as an incubator, it's not about creating mini Fearlesses or, you know, kind of the next replica of us. It's about helping you as a business owner be the best that you can be and being your authentic self.
I love that so much. So in Leesburg, I was nicknamed by the town manager Baby Oprah. That's what he calls me. It's like, oh, you're like Baby Oprah. So as Baby Oprah, I want to take a moment and transition us into a segment that I am calling Kendra's favorite things. Favorite things. So Oprah's favorite things are things that you can eat, drink, or drive. Beep, beep, right? Because she's always giving away cars. I don't have cars to give away, but I'm going to give you some workforce development tips. How about that, right? Kendra's favorite things.
All right.
So we're going to go down the line, and I want each person to share your favorite workforce development resource that's available not just in the local community, but across the community that you've either used, referred, or know of that you would think would be an asset to these great folks that are here today. So I'm going to start. Victor, you can't steal mine. Okay, so my favorite thing is WIOA, W-I-O-A, Workforce Innovations and Opportunities Act. This is a program that is a federal program. It is administered locally, and it is a program that helps individuals to access training programs that lead to family-sustaining wages. This program helps individuals, workers, employees, to not only go through a training program, but they cover the cost of that training program. And at the conclusion of that training program, their case manager is charged with the task of matching them with a qualifying employer. WIOA, W-I-O-A, Workforce Innovations and Opportunities Act. It is available in every single state and the district. That's mine. Bob, favorite program for workforce?
So honestly, Kendra, we've used you more than anything, right?
Purposeworks.com.
Purposeworks.com, but also when you were with the Loudon Workforce.
Yes.
So both. So in those cases, so our local workforce, and definitely, you know, companies like yours that are out there trying to find these people and know what your business is, right? Know what you're trying to do, understand you, and are able to also know the community and find those people for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't pay him to do that, by the
No,
way. I appreciate that.
not late.
Victor.
My favorite program is working with local jurisdictions as it relates to their Department of Employment Services. And some of them, you know, they go by many different names, but it's Department of Employment Services. So to your point about WIOA, right now we're onboarding about 6 individuals. So, because I want people to really understand this from an employer standpoint. The local government pays their salary for 4 months. For 4 months. Listen to what I'm saying. You get the invoice, your client. You're not having to pay the folks. The local government or the government pays them for 4 months. My favorite program after that is called OJT program, on-the-job training. What our government does, once again, they will pay up to 75% of their salary for 6 months. You almost get a year. What does that do to your organization? I once heard Andy Card speak, who was Papa Bush's chief of staff. And he said, mind the rivers you swim in. There's more in it than just fish. And this is a way to mind the rivers that we swim in. We don't necessarily have to get a contract award in order for our organization to grow. So with WIOA, with OJT, there's plenty of grants out there as well. It affects your bottom line. And when you look at the programs and the way that they're set up, a lot of them also lower your tax base because it's not going to be revenue counted towards you. It's not going to be payroll taxes counted towards you or any of that. So
Love that.
WIOA and OJT are my favorite.
And local employment resources. Jane.
So at the top of my head, I would say, and there's a lot of opinions around this program, but in my experience, I've utilized our PTAC offices, and there's one in every state, and it's a free resource to companies to be able to help set your businesses up and help you with different resources, link you to people, link you to partners, provides training. But also with that, I would also say the 7J program. I don't feel like you hear a lot about that. Does everyone know what the 7J program is? Okay, yeah. So the 7J program is primarily based to be able to help contractors, and it's a free resource. And so sometimes, like I said, PTAC has some limited things that they can do within their program, but the 7J can also pick up where they leave off and partner with them. And I mean, they can help you with, let's be honest, if you're a true small business, I mean, it's tough sometimes to run your business and to do, proposals and work all day and come home and do your bidding and things like that. And sometimes you don't have the capital to be able to hire somebody on a full-time basis. And that's where this resource can really come in and be helpful. So if you have somebody, so NADC has a contract, so they are small businesses, they're contractors that hold these contracts to be able to perform these 7J services. And so they're people that are doing the same work that you're doing. And so they're all over the country. I want to say right now there's about 7 prime contractors that are holding the 7J contract. And it's run through the SBA. So that is a really good resource for you.
Awesome. Stephanie.
I have 2. So one is specific to Maryland. It's called MTIP, Maryland Technology Internship Program. So they will actually reimburse up to 50% of your interns' wages in technical roles. So that is an excellent program there, especially creating those opportunities and learning pathways for students and younger folks. So that's my first resource. And then the second one is actually a Hutch graduate. Aaron Brooks, he runs a technical talent pipeline company called Mastermind, and he provides free and pay what you can coding and DevOps trainings online streamed through Twitch. And he'll actually help place those folks into opportunities afterwards. So if you know folks who are looking to upskill, move into technical roles, maybe they've kind of hit a bump in their career and they're needing an additional skill set to kind of move to the next level, all of that is free and online for them to be able to leverage. MTIP, MTIP, Maryland Technology Internship Program.
So I'm going to talk about 2 that we offer that I haven't yet mentioned. One of them is free to everybody on our website. It's the Labor Market Intelligence board. So just put in labor market intelligence on our search engine, and you can sort it in all kinds of ways for all the counties in the Northern Virginia region, or really the DMV, because it goes a little farther than that. You can look at what are the job openings, what are the demographics, the average age, the average income. There's lots of information there for a business. The other thing is that we offer contract training. So if you have a need to train your employees and you want to work with us on that, we can custom design a program for you. So that's another thing available through our Business Engagement Center.
I love it. So I'm over here going crazy. I'm being mindful of my time, but there's so many additional ideas that have popped in my head that we haven't talked about. So I'm going to send this to the audience. Michelle. Hey, girl. Hey. Can you tell the people about our internship portal that people may or may not know about?
Probably not the right person to be doing it. I don't know where Christy and Angela are.
I didn't see them, so I called you.
That's fine. Well, I can talk about it because obviously I know, but I didn't want to take credit because a lot of that work was those two lovely ladies. So a couple years ago, we were at a college. We actually partnered with Maryland University. And we had the companies coming out, and we said, oh, it would be kind of cool if we're here. Why don't we let the students kind of come in and meet with the companies. We're like, oh, it'd be so great. They can put on tags, like ones in tech and everything. And so we've kind of evolved it. Because the whole point of an internship program is to give students meaningful opportunities, on-the-job training, so they can figure out, like, hey, I don't want to do this. Like Angela. She went to school for pre-med. Didn't take her long to realize she didn't want to be a doctor, even though she's constantly fixing me because I hurt myself a lot. So it's really convenient. But these kids have to know if this is something that they're interested in. And they also have to have work experience because you can't get a job if you haven't had a job. Everybody get that chicken and an egg scenario. You get out of college, you can't find work. Like, wait a minute, now I'm in debt and I can't find work? And then now I'm in debt, and then you can't get any job because of the fact student loans start and everything. So we need to make sure that these kids are getting something tangible, putting them on the right path. And that's what we were doing with our internship program, is connecting with universities in more remote regions in order to provide opportunities to kids. Because let's get real, out where we're out in Garrett County, I can assure you, a lot of people don't understand federal contracting. People constantly go, what do you do for a living? I go, well, what day is it? So it's constantly changing. You all get that. But in these regions, government contracting isn't very prevalent. It's not understood. Now, in the DMV area, you can't literally walk 2 feet without running into a contractor. And so, students at more affluent universities are given a lot of these opportunities. We actually partner with Marshall here as one of our board members we did an analysis in order to try to do an internship program with DOD. Unfortunately, we didn't win that, but did a lot of research, and it was showing that like 60% of a lot of these internship opportunities that are unpaid. You know what people from low-income communities can't do? They can't work for free because they're already working to try to support themselves. So people that are coming, like I know we say that there's all these programs and everything's equal and we're trying to provide equity, but when you're taking care of a grandmother, a child, or you are having to get up and go to work before you have to go to school, and then you're taking a bus, and then on top of it, then you can't get it, because if you're working at McDonald's to help yourself, like that doesn't really look good on your resume when you're trying to secure. It doesn't mean that you're not valuable. It doesn't mean that you're not hardworking. And it kind of irritated me when we did this at Maryland, where I said, can we blast this out to all the kids? And they go, no, we'll send them to the specific ones. I was like, what do you mean, the specific ones? Like, you get to decide who gets an opportunity? So we really wanted to expand that, open it up. It's completely free, but we also took it to the next level, because when COVID hit, and I can assure you, if it wasn't for our partners at Infield, we definitely, because we didn't have any money. We did not have funding. We did all of this on our own because we realized it was a need. Even in our community, in Garrett County, like friends, people that we knew were really struggling. And when you're sitting here talking to a mom that doesn't know what she's going to do and how she's going to pay her bills, and I know it seems like everybody's like, oh, everybody has these heartfelt stories. Like, they're true. That's the reason why I fight so hard. A couple of years back, when we were making a video for our members, an employee, this woman that she was kind of quite intimidating, never saw her really vulnerable, definitely wouldn't pick a fight with her. I listened to her tearing up on the video because she said before GCC came to Garrett County, she had to work 3 full-time jobs. This was a smart woman, had her college education, everything, 3 full-time jobs, didn't have benefits, never got to see her daughter, because she was working all the time. And when GCC came, she got 1 job, full-time job, got full benefits, was able to send her daughter to college. She was a dual major in biomedical engineering. And like seeing her like tear up about how much that was meaningful, but I was also in the back of my head, I knew that that contract was ending, and I knew what that meant. I knew that what is going to happen. And I also saw the owners of those companies work tirelessly. If you guys don't know, this lady right here, this is my mom, Shirley. This is the reason why I love the HUBZone program, because I saw what she did in the community, and I know what it's done in all of your communities. But I saw her work around the clock because we had the contract with SBA. I know this went on a tangent that you weren't hoping for, but I think people need to know this side of it, because this is the backstory of our workforce program. We wanted to make sure that these people had somewhere to transition to. So long story short, now obviously you guys realize I have a rant problem, but we created an entire portal, and by we, I mean Angela and Chrissy. I didn't do much of the work. But it's an interactive portal using Airtable, where not only are we posting opportunities, we scanned a lot of our members' open sites. So a lot of people probably don't even know it, that when we saw job postings, we placing them up there. It was actually some of our employees that were working for other companies that donated their time were helping us build all of this information. So we're posting that. We also created an interactive way for individual students as well as people in, like full-time people seeking full-time, part-time work to upload their resumes. We then break it down by core competencies. So for students, we want to put, what are you going to school for? So if you want somebody that's going to do social media, we're going to go, hey, if somebody's going for like public policy or media or management, things like that, because we want to make sure that we're partnering students with companies that are going to help them with developing the skill sets they need, but also put them on the trajectory, because the objective is to get them in the job. The objective is not to keep, and that's what SBA, I know if anybody's going through research, SBA is going really hard on people. The 40 hours in a month was never supposed to be, it's about giving an opportunity. It's great for college students, and they're getting a little frustrated, SBA is getting a little frustrated about the 40 hours for people, because they thought you hire somebody for 40 hours in a month, it'll lead to full time. They're seeing that that's not happening a lot, and they want to make a change. And I was like, well, you want to make a change? Provide more HUBZone contracts being performed in a HUBZone. It's kind of hard to hire 35% if the work's not being performed there. Anybody want to drive like 4.5 hours for work? So, but anyways, that stuff is all posted on our website. We encourage any of you guys, and it is part of our 501c3, so it's a nonprofit. Again, like I said, it was completely self-funded. So if anybody wants to donate and needs a tax write-off, we will happily take it. That's actually why we launched the digital magazine too, is to show the importance. Like there's our fearless leader and editor of our digital magazine back there, Miss Lily Milner. So we appreciate if you guys know of anybody that is looking, tell them to upload it. We're going to share it. The whole point of it is that we share that with our national network, because our goal is to be able to help as many people as we can. And if you have job postings that you want to have posted, again, we're not a recruiting agency. There's some people who are like, well, I couldn't find anybody on there. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I didn't say we were a recruiting agency. But it isn't a charge. It is a member benefit that we post on there. But any help that you guys could provide would be greatly appreciated. And if you guys have questions, I encourage you to talk to Angela. Chrissy is actually the one that's taking point on that. She's even upskilled people. Please, she never says no to people to help, so please don't try to get her to upskill all your people, please. Again, we're not a recruiting agency.
You know, in your HUBZone areas, you know, let your local workforce know that as well, so that they can be uploaded in there. So it may not be something that you may be able to hire now, but maybe somebody else can. So, and with everything being telework, a lot more telework, we're finding that we can do a much more larger outreach for a lot of our customers too.
Absolutely. Thank you, ladies, so much. So a couple more that I think are, excuse me, incredible resources available to the community. One that people don't think about often is each state has a Department of Aging and Rehabilitative Services. It may be called something different in your state, but it is available. I'll give you a real testimonial about an experience that I had with a HUBZone company. So this particular company had an opportunity, and they need cleared individuals to work. And they needed cleared individuals who lived in a HUBZone to work. And they called me. And they were like, Kendra, they tell me you can find anything and anyone. We need cleared individuals who live in a HUBZone to work. At least 2 that are cleared. The others, we can work on that. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, Chrissy, I never say no. So I started calling everyone. I started calling my entire workforce network to see what I can find. Called the Department of Aging and Rehabilitative Services local office, and what I found was literally, this was rare, this is a unicorn. I found that there was a client at the time who had been involved in a car accident and who had exhausted their FMLA and other leave benefits. They had security clearance, not only clearance, but top secret plus poly. And they were working with a vocational rehab counselor. And they were looking for a job that was flexible, that could work with their schedule and their new limitations. And guess what I did? I called the company. I said, you are not going to believe this, but I found you someone. And it just so happened that that individual had to move from his DC walk-up apartment into an accessible unit. And that accessible unit just so happened to be in a HUBZone. Go figure, right? So from that, what I was able to do was I was able to train the vocational rehab counselors at the Department of Aging and Rehabilitative Services locally to look at the client's addresses and identify the individuals who live in a HUBZone because they have resources to make reasonable accommodations or alter work sites to fit the needs of that individual. So when we start talking about differently abled, I don't like to say disabled, but differently abled individuals, their needs might not be what you stereotype them as. You could find some very qualified, I'm going to say above qualified individuals who are referred to you through these resources. Here's another resource, local nonprofit organizations. You'd be surprised how many nonprofits start with a mission and goal of helping people find work. There's a lot of them. There's programs for veterans. There's programs for moms. There's programs for dads. There's programs based on culture or gender or, you know, pick a socioeconomic or protected category. There's a nonprofit for that. Look at those local nonprofits and make sure that you're tapping into that. So as you're keeping your pipeline for your 35% open, make sure that you're tapping into those resources because oftentimes they're overlooked. Also, this is the last one I'm going to give you. The next one's going to come with an invoice. Because she got to make money. Last one that I'm going to give you is look at your faith-based communities. A lot of times the faith-based communities will have programs or ministries or whatever the case might be that are designed to help their parishioners, their constituents, their members to get connected to work. So even if you are not a member of that congregation, that religion, that faith, that organization, there's a possibility that one of your friends or neighbors might be that can get you access. I know here locally we have programs like Tree of Life, there's McLean Bible, there's all kinds of them that have huge workforce programs that have hundreds of individual resumes that they collect over time. It is one quick request to ask them, can we please check to see if any of these individuals live in HUBZones, and if so, we'd like to set up a job fair or some type of a meet the employer hiring event so that we can talk to these individuals. And a lot of times these things are available to you at no cost. So to my panel, as we wrap up in these last few minutes, I would like for you to do something that baby Oprah does a lot. I would like for you to give one word of encouragement to all of these employers who are in the room who are having the world's easiest time finding and maintaining their 35% HUBZone employees. Can we please encourage and motivate the people? We'll start with, I call her Dr. Lydig. She goes by Julie. I say anytime you stay in school that long, you deserve to be called doctor. Dr. Lydig?
The one word would be explore. So look to the left and right and look at the resources that are out there. So explore.
I love it. Stephanie?
Sticking with the one-word theme, empower. You are actually so much more empowered than maybe you feel or realize at times to make that difference in your community. So, for example, we leverage great programs and incentives that are out there to help with workforce development, but we're also investing our time and our resources in the long game to creating the workforce that we know that we're going to need in the future. So instead of fighting over the same tech talent pool, how can we do what we can with our means to create that talent pool for the future that we know that we and other businesses are going to need to tap into?
Love that. Shane?
Man, those are so good. I would just say think outside of the box, get creative. When you're exploring, I had to do that to get my HUBZone requirements, is figure out a way to, what do I need for my company? What resources do I want to be able to provide to people? And then look within your organization is what I did in trying to diversify and build capacity on my team. And it just so happens I just hired a project manager, and she lives on a reservation. And all tribal land, by the way, is automatically a HUBZone, and a lot of people don't realize that. But so she lives on tribal land, so she's automatically my qualifying employee. So I'm really excited about that. So just think outside of the box.
Victor?
My one word is an acronym. It would be FACE. F is going to be stay focused on who you are, what your company do, and find that niche. A is going to be accountable. Be accountable to the HUBZone community. Be accountable to the HUBZone Council. Be accountable in raising that flag so that we can serve those in the underserved community and help them create their pathway to the middle class. The C is commitment. Accountable and commit to it and find out where those resources are, who those champions are, and E, execute and bring excellence to it.
Love that. I saw how you did that, though. We said one word. You put one word before.
Hey, that's the word. It's the acronym.
Love how these businesses follow the rules. No, I'm teasing. Bob?
So the one word that always comes to my mind is persistence, right? Keep persisting. But for us, it's kind of been actually three words, right? Persistence, persistence, communicate, and timing, right? Timing has always been. I can't tell you the number of times that we've actually literally sat in somebody's office, met them 4 times. They didn't know us the 4th time, 2nd time, 3rd time, or 4th time. Nice to meet you again. And somebody walks in and says, and this literally happened. We left her office, and somebody walked in and said, we need a HUBZone company that has database experience. 10 minutes after we walked out of the office, but it took us 4 times to do that. So persisting to talk to them and having the right bait in the water at the right time, right? So just persisting, just continuing to persist.
I love it. So for me, I don't have one word either. I have several words. I was.
That's not fair.
If you're doing it for the money, you're doing it wrong. HUBZone is not about the money. HUBZone is about the people. That is the mission. That is what it's about. It is a workforce development program. If you take a mission focused approach and perspective when you're identifying your 35%, I guarantee you it'll be a lot easier to not only identify highly qualified individuals to work your HUBZone contracts, but it will be a lot easier to find highly motivated individuals who will stay with you for the long haul. I know many of us struggle with the definition of meaningful work. Anytime the government gives us a new rule to follow, it just instantly becomes that much more challenging. But at its core, right, and this is not published, and I don't care if you tell someone I said it, at its core, meaningful work means don't just go to your local pizza restaurant and take all their payroll because most of the people that work there live in the HUBZone. Don't go to your neighborhood laundromat and post an ad with the pull tag saying, hey, you want to work 10 hours and not do anything? No, that is not meaningful. Meaningful is taking the housekeeper who's been a housekeeper their entire life and putting them in a position and connecting them to community colleges and local resources to help them to upskill and develop the talent that they need to not only make a difference in their lives, but to make a difference in their household. That's meaningful work. If you can write a job description to it that the individual will be proud of, and that anyone with elementary schoolers' knowledge of reading and comprehension will be able to read it and understand what that individual does for your company, beyond answering phones, checking emails, and shredding documents, or sit here and watch the door, right? We have to create experiences. So if you're doing it for the money, you're doing it wrong. Figure out the difference that you want to make, and that will be your guiding path to identifying qualified, highly motivated individuals who will stick around with your company. In this last minute that I have, I'll tell you one more resource. I know I said it'll come with the invoice. Michelle, get all these people's email addresses so I can. Okay, no. Stephanie mentioned the MTIP program in Maryland about reimbursement for the wages of interns, and that reminded me. So in New Jersey and in several other states across the United States, they do have similar internship programs. They're usually run through the summer months between May and September, where you can, as a company, can get a credit or a stipend for hiring individuals who are enrolled full-time or part-time in state-funded universities, colleges, and community colleges. I know for a fact that New Jersey has it. I had a client in New Jersey who took advantage of that program, and they were able to get $1,200 per employee for the months of May through September. So definitely check your state to see what programs and resources and incentives they have. And also, when we start talking about things like interns doesn't just mean between the ages of 18 and 22. If you're like me, I don't like Gen Z. They get on my nerves, but I hire them. But they get on my nerves, right? Interns, externs, and apprentices can be adults that are returned to school that are looking for opportunities. So don't feel like we're telling you, go out and hire all your neighborhood high schoolers or college kids who are bored for the summer. No, there are a lot of qualified individuals, so don't overlook those opportunities. So with that, I want to say thank you to my esteemed panel. I appreciate each and every one of your contributions to this conversation today. Thank you for sticking around on the half day of the conference and being here. And thank you, Michelle, for making this opportunity available to share this information with our incredible audience. Give yourselves a hand.